By show of hands, who here does not know what they're doing with their lives?
This California weather, it's like 90 degrees. It's making me hot and he has the same effect on me. It's just something about the way that he's making me feel.
Alright guys, let's sit down and talk about this, okay? Topic of the day, all day and every day on this channel, quarter life crisis. What is quarter life crisis? According to the Muse, it's a period of intense soul-searching and stress occurring in our mid-20s up to early 30s. In short, we are lost, fam. Lost and confused and wanna be found. This hit me hard when I turned 23, and that is actually considered kind of early to be experiencing quarter life crisis, but I got other issues growing up which I need to save for my therapist. I feel like this is kind of a touchy subject, especially if I have viewers that are not millennials, because older generations tends to look at these quarter life crises as if it's a hashtag first world problem or privileged people problems. You don't have to like your job. Suck it up, it pays the bills. You're 30, you're supposed to be married and have kids already. Ugh, if I could have a quarter every time I hear this, I'd be Kardashian rich. Look, I get it. That used to be okay before because people didn't have that much opportunities, but that's like the complete opposite in today's generation. Now, we've also heard of another life crisis, which is the later life crisis or midlife crisis. The main difference between quarter life crisis and midlife crisis, aside from the age difference, is that one thing that we desire during that stage. You know how sometimes you hear people say, oh, you know this lawyer that's been married to his wife for like 30 years, all of a sudden he left her, sold all his belongings, and went off with a 20-year-old that he met at a bar, drove off with her using his new convertible sports car. And people would comment, oh, he was probably going through a midlife crisis. Midlife crisis, the way I see it, is more like a stage in life where they ask, is this all there is? Frustration of a perceived lack of life. And this drives them to feel the urge to change direction, and that's why they make all these reckless decisions that you never see coming. Meanwhile, quarter life crisis is kind of the opposite. Instead of wanting to have a change of direction, we just want a direction. Any direction. One direction. Not the band though. We want a direction because we just feel so lost and overwhelmed with all these opportunities we could potentially grab, but we just don't know which one to take. Millennials will raise to believe that anything is possible, which is almost true. We know our potential has no ceiling. Not only do we have crazy amount of opportunities available, but we also have a greater and easier access to it. You would assume that this would make everything a breeze for us, right? Well, I say yes and I say no, and I'll tell you why. Yes, it's easier for people who strongly knows who and what they want to be because they can literally just Google anything and they can get all the information that they want or they need to get to where they want to be. And also no, it doesn't make it any easier for those people who doesn't know what they want to be, because it just makes it worse for them, because the more information they have, the more opportunities there are, the easier access to it. It puts you in a state of what we call analysis paralysis, which is just a fancy way of saying overthinking. Overthinking to a point where we don't even know where to start, where to go, what to do, what's the first step. Therefore, we end up not doing anything at all because that's what it is, analysis paralysis. We live in a digital world of social media that keeps us updated with all the information and news from all over the world in a matter of clicks. But because of that, there's also an increasing amount of people that experiences depression because we humans have a tendency to turn to social comparisons. Who else here has Instagram that follows all the celebrities that you admire, whether for their looks, their wealth, their fame, aka Kardashians, yet we feel depressed right after because we compare ourselves to them and we don't have what they have. And then you ask yourself, why not you? Why can't it be you? Why don't you have what they have? We usually do this late at night for hours. I'm also very guilty of that. But at the end of the day, we sense a huge rush of dissatisfaction because we set ourselves up to keep up with these unrelenting standards. Social media creates this almost impossible goals to attain. According to career coach Chloe Gerland, we fall into this grass is always greener culture. And you even see this happening in a relationship. That's why it's harder for people to commit to one person because in the back of your mind, you're thinking there's someone else that's better, that's only a swipe away. Now, that is only the social media part. We haven't talked about relationships and finances. And thank God that it's kind of hard for me to speak English because if I were to speak my native language, which is Filipino, man, we are going to be here the whole day. But since it's harder to speak English the whole time, I'm kind of limited with my script, because I need this script for an hour. Anyways, finances. The traditional steps to being successful no longer give us an assurance that we're going to get by life safely with a good retirement income. People expect us to have the right career, be married, have at least one kid, have a house or at least an apartment before we hit 30. How many times have I attended a family gathering or like a friend gathering and all the people or my mom's friend asking me if I'm married or when am I getting married, if I have a boyfriend, or if we're gonna get engaged anytime soon. Like, come on, people, like, shh, calm down. Who the hell says I want to be married? Just kidding. I don't know. Not sure yet. Anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. But how the heck do they expect us to buy a house when it has become very unaffordable? There's less job securities out there because Robocop and his friends Transformers are trying to take over our jobs. And then we're getting paid less and less while everything else is getting more expensive. We are pushing back having families because we feel very unstable with our careers. We're scared that we might not be able to provide for our future kids. It's not that we're selfish and all we want are careers and going up in the corporate ladder, but because it's scary out there, People are getting bankrupt, losing their jobs left and right. You can't do that when you have kids unless you just want to be supported by the government, which I think it's not ethical, especially if you're fully functional, Sorry to say it, but someone has to say it. But then I've also met people who are very successful in their careers. They actually are rich and wealthy, and I mean like doctors, lawyers, PAs, but they're still very unhappy about where they're at. But then if you break it down, they do have wealth, but they don't have time for themselves. More and more millennials now are willing to take a pay cut to have a more flexible schedule where they can do things that they're passionate about, or maybe even create a business on the side where they do what they like, such as, I don't know, sewing, photography, hint, me. Or just to have an extra time with their families. Sad to admit, but because of uncertainty, this made us adopt to this fuck it mentality. People long for an escape, but it could be really bad sometimes depending on the decisions that they make. I've had friends that pretty much drown themselves with alcohol and drugs just to get over that stress and confusion and pressure that led them to get stuck in a rut called analysis paralysis. I do hope that people would start talking about this and be each other's helping hand, because if I were to do something different before, I wish I would have said something before it became worse for me, because I also struggled with it alone for years until I hit my breakdown and I just exploded right there and then with my mom, or to my mom. I wasn't yelling at her though. I just remember that I was massaging her and she was asking me about life, about my career and my ex-boyfriend. I just started like pouring down crying and I just couldn't stop myself from then. I just let it all out and it honestly made me feel a lot better. I was less depressed after that. That was the first, but that was not the last. I still have I think 4 more after that and I'm still currently struggling with it. That's why talking about this actually makes me feel lighter. I feel like the baggage has been kind of lifted up a little bit after making all these videos. But if any of you like this content or relate to this content, please like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you're going through, and I'll try to reply to everyone as soon as possible, because I am very interested and I am also learning from you guys by just sharing the information about what your struggles are and where in life are you at. How did you pass the quarter life crisis? How did you deal with it? How did you overcome it? Because I also need a lot of guidance when it comes to that, because I'm still going through it, and I want to promote this kind of community where we help each other go through it, because the only people that could understand this are the people that are experiencing it or already past it. Give us a little bit of hope that everything would be okay. But anyways, you guys, that is it for today, and I will see you next week. Bye.
I could wake up with a